Hello and welcome to EBAday 2023 in Madrid. Kindly joining me in the studio away from the busy event is Emanuela Saccarola from Citi. Emanuela, thank you so much for joining us in the studio.
Great to be here. Thank you for having me.
It's really good to have you on, and we're talking about some interesting topics today, and the title of our discussion is the last chapter of the payment saga, Decision Time for Financial Institutions. An interesting one, so it'd be good to start with getting the thought behind the title.
Of course, thank you. Yes, absolutely. So a lot has happened in the payments landscape. There's new technology, clients' needs and demands are changing. There is a very overwhelming regulatory environment. And of course, there is emerging competition, new players, and also traditional players that have heavily invested in payments. But what we are seeing is that this market is growing. It's growing at 9% CAGR. It will reach, in terms of revenue, 300 billion in the next few years by 2026. And there is a role for everyone. But what we're saying is that financial institutions need to act now. If they don't take any decision and they don't start acting and have a digital transformation plan, they may not have a role in the next book of the payment saga. So we're calling our financial institution to really take action so that they are not obsolete and they're not getting disintermediated or completely disrupted by these emerging competitors.
All right, that's interesting. And thank you very much for setting the scene for us there. So I'm interested to hear next that how are you gathering those insights from your FI clients around the changing needs from customers?
Sure. So I think there's probably 4 channels. So first of all, we're all individuals. So individuals are our clients, and we're not only talking about retail customers, and they're our clients in the case of financial institutions, but also corporate treasurer is an individual, a payments head is an individual. So we are all becoming very accustomed to digital experiences in every part of our life. So we can easily infer the experience that we expect when we buy financial services and when we buy payments in particular. Second, we are a bank. Citi is a bank. So our clients are the same clients that our financial institutions clients have. So we talk to corporates, we talk to public sector clients, and we gather also insights directly. Primary source of information, I would say.
Sure.
Lastly, we have interaction with our FI customers, formal interactions in terms of selling, positioning our capabilities, and of course, more informal interactions like today at EBAday, where we talk to clients about their client needs, their kind of challenges as well, maybe in a more dynamic environment, and very busy exchanges here happening today. And lastly, we also had issued a survey to all our financial institutions, and the survey was called The Future of Payments.
Yes.
And the idea was to gather insights. So obviously, we had a number of questions, and maybe I can summarize some of the key points of the respondents. And we haven't published the results yet. These are preliminary results. So I think I have found that clients, in particular traditional banks, obviously this survey went to all our FI customers, but traditional banks are acknowledging that they are losing market share to emerging competitors, which is something that maybe didn't quite happen a few years ago. Now they're coming to terms with the fact that they need to do something because these emerging competitors are taking market share. Second, we asked them, what are the features of payments that your clients are asking for? Obviously, there's many, but the 3-4 things that came up during the survey consistently is that payments have to have speed, they need to be cost effective and transparent. So these were the top 3 features of payments. Lastly, they also have acknowledged that they're challenged by regulatory environment that can be quite overwhelming and dynamic. They're also challenged by limited investment budget and investment spending. And some of more maybe traditional older banks are also dealing with legacy infrastructure and legacy processes that are not quite fit for purpose for a digital experience. So they need to invest in their platforms, and that comes with engagement internally and prioritization, etc. But they all realize that that's a constraint and they have to overcome that to move to the next level.
All right, that's interesting. Some significant findings from the survey there, and I urge our viewers to go to that to learn more. But for now, it'd be interesting to hear what the response should be to those challenges then.
So I think the response doesn't need to be the same for every FI. Like every FI needs to understand and depends on a lot of factors, what role they want to play in payment services. It depends also on the markets they're playing, because digital transformation is very different. There are certain markets like India that is very advanced, and other markets like the US that maybe is not as advanced and is behind and is trying to catch up. So it depends very much, by location, markets, the markets that they want to compete, and then what is their vision. Ultimately, I feel that sometimes because there is so much happening in the space, we see a little bit of FOMO, fear of missing out.
Yes.
And everybody feels that they have to have a role in everything that happens in the market, which is important to understand what happens in the market, but you don't have, as an FI, don't have to build everything on your own. So I think partnership and collaboration is key. Finding the right partner for a specific FI that can help in that digital journey. And it could be multiple partners, it could be one partner. Obviously, if you have 25 partners, it becomes complicated, but find the right fit so that you can start that journey and you don't have to build everything on your own.
Some very good advice there, and an interesting point of view as well. And what about APIs then? Do you think those are going to be a critical enabler for the digital transformation journey? Let's hear more about that then.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, going back to the survey, 80% of our respondents have indicated that they have started the API journey, which is fantastic. Now, API might be considered the North Star. It's the ideal solution for improving the client experience and moving into digital. And it's true in financial services, but in a lot of other interactions that we have in our daily life. But it doesn't have to be 100% API. So there are things that any institution can do to start the digital journey that doesn't necessarily involve jumping on a fully integrated API solution. So at Citi, for example, we do talk to our clients about a journey, and they can start with Swift-enabled solution, which is the traditional language of financial institutions, in particular banks. So we have 24/7 US dollar clearing, Swift-enabled. From a cross-border perspective, we have a very large network, and we have almost 140 currencies that can be accessed through SWIFT from a wire perspective. Then we have other payment methods. We have access to ACH. Our network is the largest ACH network that banks can initiate via SWIFT and access low-value clearing through our branches. We also have solutions that enable a digital interaction between a payer and a payee. And we talked about transparency. Yes. And transparency is very important for the payer, but also the beneficiaries are becoming more and more important. They have a voice. They want to know when they're receiving that payment, how much they're receiving. So everything can be enabled via SWIFT. And then API doesn't have to be, I need 12 APIs. Yes. Maybe you can start with one, and that might be the FX API, so that you can be more competitive on the FX, providing a better pricing to your clients. So it is a journey, it's a step-by-step process, not one size fits all, right? And I think it's really depending on the specific of the FI. And the call to action is just don't stay still. Don't get too overwhelmed by everything that is happening in the world. Get the right partner, get advice, and start acting now so that you can be relevant and you can have a role in the next book of payments, which hopefully will continue to evolve, and we all have to be very careful. And there's also a lot of noise. So find a partner that can maybe explain what is relevant versus what is not relevant. So that is the kind of maybe the message is just find the right partner that can advise you and start your journey.
And some very good advice to end on there as well, Emanuela. Thank you so much for sharing your very clear and interesting insights today. I'll let you get back to the event, but thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me.